So I'm going to talk to you today about onboarding and the link with culture. Because we've seen quite some companies now, over 100 of the last 5 years, who've been struggling with onboarding, who are trying to get grip on onboarding, not just from a cultural point of view, by the way, in many aspects. A definition for those who like a bit of framing: culture is this thing which is often intangible, which is there, which is about how people kind of work together, behave, often driven by leadership, because you see a lot of people who look up at leadership and then, to some extent, copy what they do. Engagement is really about how you feel about all of this. If you really have this feeling of, I've got to copy because then I'm accepted, but actually it's not really me, engagement will drop. If you feel like that could be you, and you do it the same way, then engagement is going to go up because you really feel at a place where you think behavior and what you see is a positive thing. In terms of the culture, as I told you before, it's not the only piece. Often when we talk about onboarding, we use this model, the 4C model. It kind of puts culture as one of the 4 important blocks when you're thinking about onboarding new people to your company. And by the way, to me, this is not limited to onboarding. This is about engagement as a concept, if you think about it. I also have a bit of experience in the assessment industry before I joined Goodyear. And in the assessment business, at the time already, we were often focused on cultural fit or cultural match. So I'm looking at this as a cycle. To me, it starts with culture at the end of the hiring process. When you've hired somebody, I really truly hope that you or a hiring manager or somebody else have looked at the potential match between that person and your company culture. Is there going to be a fit? If you haven't checked on that, this is not going to help you too much, you know. You can come up with whatever model, whatever approach to onboarding. If you haven't really watched whether that person is going to be a fit, forget about it. It's going to be a pretty bad investment. If you've been looking after the cultural piece, and of course all the other pieces, skill fit, competency fit, etc., you may have a good chance of people being successful. Next thing up is good onboarding. And that's where we usually start with compliance, meaning compliance is the basic stuff. Look at it as kind of level 1. You want to make sure people got a contract, you want to make sure people are going to get paid. If you promised a company car, there's got to be delivered on time, all of that stuff, the compliance piece. I'm making an assumption that all of you are a compliant employer. It's not always the case. There's plenty of startups who are not compliant, or they think they're compliant. Maybe they're operating in different countries and actually they're not, and I can talk from experience. Second piece, clarification. Okay, you got the compliance piece done as part of onboarding. People got a contract and stuff. Are you extremely clear about things like job description? What's your actual responsibility? Who's going to be your team? Who's going to be your colleagues? It really helps people to take a head start when they join your company, especially if you're able to share that information even upfront. So don't wait until first day, but get that whole clarification piece done, even as part of the hiring process as much as you can, and as part of the pre-boarding phase. So that's kind of level 2, I would say. If you got level 1 done, you can focus on level 2. Level 3 is the whole connection piece, allowing people to kind of pre-connect with boss, N+1, N+2, but also peers, direct reports. I mean, who's going to be part of my community, my kind of social network when I join a company? If you can help facilitate that, people will really appreciate it. Again, even better if you can organize that as part of pre-boarding before people show up on day 1. If you've done all of that really well, then the next bit of magic is culture. But I became an extremely realistic HR person after having worked in the learning industry for quite some years. There's no point on focusing on culture if, for example, you're not compliant, because people are going to really worry about not having been paid that month, and you can do whatever on culture, they're just not going to care, okay? And they're also not going to care when there's just not a fit with your culture. You can incentivize whatever you feel like incentivizing, it's just not going to work. But culture is that last piece that you can add, which is kind of a magical piece. If you are able to make people feel at home, feel really like accepted, you'll reach high engagement levels, and you really have a good chance of getting people that are really productive and people that feel good on the long term as well. So if you feel like we created this little scan, which is completely free of charge, onboardingscan.com, where you complete 12 questions against these 4 Cs, and you get an instant assessment report telling you whether you're good, bad, or ugly when it comes to onboarding, with some hints and tips as well on how you can immediately improve things. No rocket science, just a couple of smart HR people who sat together and put together this survey. I'm going to jump into some concrete examples, watching time. One of the 3 examples I'll be sharing is Bacardi. Bacardi, you got to know, is a family-owned business. It's more than 6,000 people around the world. It's still completely family-owned. It was started by one person more than 100 years ago. Today, the descendants of that one person are 600 people today. Those 600 own the company, nobody else. So you have a lot of cousins and nephews and what have you who basically run the company as a shareholder. What they've done, they've put a statement out that everyone who works and comes and work for Bacardi is also called a cousin, or a primo, like they call it in Spanish, I guess. So that's how they care about people, and they really mean this. It's an official statement. You become part of the family. We're a family company. You're an extended part of the family when you come and join us. And they have a lot of they already have a lot of gatherings. They invite people to their bars around the world. You can actually meet up with actual family members as well. You get to know them personally. So pretty impressive onboarding. And these are some of the things which they do to kind of make that tangible or make that very concrete. For example, they use our technology. They use an onboarding app to teach people about the history, about the different family members, about family members who actually work or live in the region in which you operate. They also give you a mixology training. That's part of your onboarding. You've got to be able to mix cocktails. If you come and work for Bacardi, wherever you come from, whether you're in HR or procurement, you've got to be able to mix cocktails, because everyone in your family and friends group is going to tell you, hey, you work for Bacardi, you must know about cocktails. So everyone gets that training. They get their vintage cocktail shaker kit as well, everyone who joins them around the world. And they become a true ambassador of the brand. Many people are already proud to work for such brands. Actually, they can now show off with some of the knowledge they have about these cocktails. They all become ambassadors of Bacardi. So there was already a great employer who was doing a lot for their people, strong culture, and they kind of brought this to the next level using some technology and the things you see up here. Other example is BNP Paribas Fortis, completely different environment, a rather traditional bank with French roots, huge around the world. We started working with their Belgian branch. For the ones who are local here, also a big bank, about 15,000 people here in Belgium, the biggest bank we have. And they put together an onboarding app together with us, which they labeled Become. Already in that name, you feel like we invite you to become BNP Paribas. And we're going to take you through different levels. We invite you first, level 1, to become a BNP member, become part of the club. We're going to share all the information we have to make sure that we facilitate your onboarding, from making sure you get your contract signed on time, making sure that somebody's going to wait for you on day 1 at reception to kind of pick you up and guide you, making sure that you can already take a virtual tour in one of our flagship new banks outlets in Brussels as well, so you can really get an understanding of what the future of banking is about. It's not the traditional bank outlet. It's something very, very, very different. So they expose people to a lot of things already to have them become part of their culture, which is now really towards innovation and digital and becoming one strong group of team members. Second level is becoming a client. So once you're a happy employee, we'd love to invite you to become a client. What they've noticed is that many of their employees were not a client of BNP. First of all, commercial opportunity. But secondly as well, if you don't really use our products, how can you, truly, really kind of work for us and at some point even become an ambassador or be highly engaged? Because there must be something that you don't really believe in what we do. You come and maybe do your job, you get paid, but as long as you're not a client, something there is missing in that connection. So they're really explicit about all the benefits you get as an employee becoming a client, because actually they have strong benefits when it comes to mortgages and things for employees, but way too few people were actually a client. So lots of information on becoming a client. And the principle here is when you're a happy employee, happy client, then we can actually invite you to become an ambassador, not before. Then you can truly be an ambassador about us as an employer. You could even potentially refer friends and family to come and work for us, which is part of the application as well. You can actually refer people who will actually be invited to consume certain information about jobs at BNP. You can also potentially invite people, friends, family to become a client. We're not going to push that, but at least we hope that you can now talk from experience and you become a true ambassador of the company. And that makes them unique. It's not just about telling people, like, please like all of our Facebook posts and LinkedIn posts, please do that, please share. No, there's something behind it. They're kind of building up towards it. Last one I want to show is Deloitte. Very challenging onboarding situation, especially also with culture, because they usually get people 2 to 4 weeks at their offices, and then people are off. They go and work at a client's office. So how on earth do you install the Deloitte culture, the way of working, the way about going about people? It's quite difficult. So one of the ways is an application. Secondly is making sure that that first 2 to 4 weeks is a very intense period, because that's the time where you want to make sure people are going to understand what Deloitte's all about and some of the principles. What we do with the application here on top of that is we make sure we start the onboarding from the day you sign a contract, which at Deloitte is often still months away from actually starting, especially with junior people who graduate at university. They often have months in between signing a contract at Deloitte or KPMG or PwC, etc. I mean, these profiles often have a pre-boarding time of 6, 7, 8, even 9 months. That's perfect time to start engaging them in your culture and to let them experience even assignments, your peers, your colleagues, even doing a virtual visit of the office with some ideas on the practical stuff already, so you don't lose that time on day 1 or day 2, but these things are actually clear from the moment you've opened the app. So with Deloitte, a lot of emphasis on making sure that we send as much information as we can, never too much, but try to kind of look for that limit of how much you can send before people actually start. That all goes digital, and then a very intense face-to-face onboarding the first 2 to 4 weeks to make sure that people are then ready to be sent off to clients and are completely part of that Deloitte environment, Deloitte culture. So those are the things I wanted to share with you.